Well, hello everybody. Kyle Neddenritt from the Indy Star, coming to you from Center Grove tonight, where Brownsburg takes down Center Grove, 31 to 27. Brownsburg makes it back to the state championship game for the first time since 1985, and had to earn it here, man. Center Grove had the ball inside the Brownsburg 10 in the final seconds, final minute of the game, 53 seconds left. Had a 4th and 3. Gabe McWilliams sort of rushed, didn't want to throw it as early as he did, because Alex Burke was chasing him down off the edge, and threw it a little short of his target and threw it off his back foot as he was trying not to get sacked. And Jameer Pendleton picks it off, and Brownsburg's able to close it out and kneel a couple times and move on into the state finals, where they will meet Westfield now in a rematch of a game that Brownsburg won. Earlier this season, it was kind of that weird Saturday game after the hurricane remnants knocked everybody out pretty much, except for Burbuff and Roncalli and a few others. But that game was played on a Saturday afternoon at Brownsburg, and it was Westfield. Quarterback Carson Melvin wasn't able to finish that game. He kind of got hit and couldn't play the fourth quarter. Brownsburg, who knows? They may have won anyway, but they ended up winning that game close. Was it 17 to 13? I believe was the final score of that game. So that'll be a rematch of that game. Two teams from the Hoosier Crossroads Conference will go at it for a state championship. So I have to imagine, and that's probably the first time that's happened. We Ben Davis obviously from the MIC, and Center Grove over the years obviously from the MIC, and now independent, but largely from the MIC. And Westfield has made it there a couple times and played Center Grove, but this should be a great game. I think both those teams seem to be relatively healthy and obviously playing well right now, and should be a great crowd. Brownsburg had a phenomenal crowd. Center Grove always has a great home crowd, but Brownsburg brought the whole community. It felt like tonight. Great student section, and John Hart said that after the game. He felt like let's fill up Lucas Oil Stadium and do that next Friday. So that will be a Friday night game. The 2A, 4A, and 6A are all Friday at Lucas Oil, the day after Thanksgiving, and the Saturday games will be 1A, 3A, and 5A. So Saturday night you will have Decatur Central. Just to go through the scores again, Brownsburg wins 31-27 in 6A in the South. And in the North, Westfield beats Crown Point 30-7. A little surprised that game wasn't closer. I think it was 24-7 at halftime. Westfield just had no trouble with Crown Point. I thought, again, it was hard to, it's always hard when teams play such different schedules. And I'm not saying, in my opinion, Crown Point, because they beat Westfield last year, you had to definitely take them seriously. But you just don't know, because there's not a lot of common opponents, not a lot of real tests that Crown Point had along the way. And honestly, at the end of the day, that it would have been probably good for them to play a couple teams down in this direction. I know that's easier said than done. They're locked into their conference schedule, and they're playing a lot. They're playing 7 games that are locked in already. But maybe in the future, I think Crown Point will be a team that will continue to see get deep into the tournament. They seem to be a team that's built as a program. They have great facilities and a great program there. So I assume we're going to see them again at some point. But it would be good for them to play maybe an HCC team or a MIC team or at least a 6A team down this way once in a while. But that's a story for another day. And I think that'll be a great game in Class 6A on Friday night at Lucas Oil Stadium. Again, in 5A, so we look down and I got talked to Justin Dixon, the Decatur Central Athletic Director, briefly here. And sounded like Farrell Carter, it was a close game against Bloomington South. It was tied 10 to, or actually it was 13-10 Decatur in the going into halftime, and then actually going into the fourth quarter was the same score. Bloomington South tied it up, made it 13-all early in the fourth quarter, and after that field goal to tie it for Bloomington South, Carter returns a kickoff 95 yards for a touchdown, and then on the next drive, he picks off a pass and returns it 35 yards for an interception, a pick six. So a couple of huge plays by Carter. Decatur Central gets back to the 5A state finals. for the second time in 2 years. And obviously they've been motivated to do that. Didn't play their best last year in that loss to Fort Wayne Snyder. Fort Wayne Snyder, obviously a very good team, and they're playing up in 6A now because of the tournament success factor. But Decatur Central, very fast team, just a very good team all around, and they will advance to play in the 5A championship game. And like I said, that'll be a Warsaw team that really wants to run the ball and does that really well. Warsaw beat Maryville tonight, 31-14. So pretty impressive showing there by Warsaw to get through and win that one. So Bart Curtis, who was the Mishawaka coach for a long time, he brought his team down to Lucas Oil before. I know they're definitely a team that wants to run the ball and control the ball. That Warsaw's a team they played Warren Central earlier this year. Obviously, that's a step up in competition. They lost to Concord in Plymouth during the season, but since mid-season, I think they've won 7 games in a row now. They beat Lafayette Jeff, beat Maryville, so they beat 2 of the top. Maryville was second. Lafayette Jeff, I believe, was third in the poll. So they've knocked off some really good teams, and actually beat Concord too, who's number 1. So I believe they've knocked off in our USA Today state poll. I think they've knocked off the top 3 teams. I have to check on that for sure, and I'm doing that as we trying to look at that. Yeah, so they'd be 1, 2, and 3, and now Decatur Central's 4. So they could knock off the top 4 teams in the class if it's all said and done. So obviously Warsaw, a very well-tested team. That should be a really good challenge for Decatur Central. Probably 2. We'll learn more about these teams in the coming days, the teams that are from out of the area a little bit more. But Decatur Central will be up against definitely a big challenge in that game. So in Class 4A, East Noble beat Mishawaka 18-13. And then our area team, New Pal, our area teams, I should say, New Pal 43, Martinsville 7. And you kind of wondered, Martinsville had not had a lot of success defensively against some of their top competition they played this year. And you kind of wonder, I thought they might be able to put up some points in that game, but obviously that didn't happen. And it was 13-7 for a while, and New Pal then went into halftime leading 22-7. So, and then blanked. They were able to blank Martinsville in the second half. Josh Raines, I know, had a long run there in the second half. I believe that was in the third quarter, like a 50-yard run. And don't have full stats, so I know Caden Jacoby ran for 3 touchdowns, and Jacob Davis had a touchdown pass. So that was kind of the story. And New Pal, I think this East Noble team is going to be a good challenge for them. Like I said, East Noble they're ranked number 2 in the state, and they beat Mishawaka tonight 18-13. So I believe more of a running team, but also can throw some. So they'll be up against it. And that class has been kind of a lopsided class. The south half of 4A has kind of had the better of that over the last several years, and a lot of those games have been pretty lopsided. So we'll see what happens. East Noble will play New Pal for the 4A title game. That will be Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. The 4A game. 3A, Bishop Lures beats Garrett 28-14 tonight, and Heritage Hills no problem with Batesville 42-0. Heritage Hills seems to be on a mission. Of course, Lures has been there and done that many times, so that'll be kind of a traditional powerhouse game there. As I think Heritage Hills has not won its state title since 2000, so will be a chance for them to finally break through. They've run up against some good teams in the past once they've got to that state finals game, but that'll be a challenge, obviously, in that 4A game against Lures, or in 3A, I'm sorry, against Lures team that, they always play a schedule that's, very difficult, and they play a lot of larger schools, so sometimes their record's not always indicative of how good they are. And 10-4 this year, but they're able to beat Garrett tonight 28-14, and move on to Lucas Oil Stadium. Lures, last year they're one of those teams that has moved up under the success factor. So they were a 2A champion last year, now playing in Class 3A. So that's not a real surprise. I kind of figured Heritage Hills would roll, and Lures Garrett I thought might be a little bit more of a toss-up, but Lures gets the win. And then in 2A, Adams Central beats Andrean 20-13. So a cool story for Adams Central is they're this will be their fourth year in a row making it, and we thought maybe the matchup most likely would be against Lutheran, but that doesn't happen. Adams Central made the 1A championship 3 years in a row and lost every year to Lutheran, and now we'll finally see somebody different in the 2A game, and it'll be Linton Stockton, which upset Lutheran tonight 40-28. So I think that probably is maybe the surprise of the night. That in a lot of ways, I think that was the game. I think people had Lutheran probably advancing in that one, but also you don't know in 2A. They haven't had a run all the way in 2A before. Again, they're playing up a class success factor situation and had rolled through the tournament to this point, beating some good teams along the way. But Linton, obviously, they're another team that traditionally very strong. Their history would tell you that, and they are in the in the state finals. They were there in 2016 and won it in 1A, and also went to the state finals the year before that and lost to Lafayette Central Catholic, I believe it was, but beat Pioneer the next year. And so that'll be the 2A game. Adams Central, Linton Stockton. That game will be played on Friday. That'll be the first game on Friday. Adams Central, Linton Stockton at 11 a.m. So that'll be the early one on Friday, and then Saturday. Also, the early game in 1A will be North Judson, which rolled tonight over Adams Central 46-0 against Providence. Providence won a wild one 35-30 over South Putnam. So that'll be the matchup on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So the lineup again, Friday 2A Adams Central versus Linton Stockton at 11, New Powell versus East Noble at 3, Brownsburg versus Westfield at 7. And then on Saturday, the 1A game, Providence versus North Judson at 11, Fort Wayne Bishop Lures versus Heritage Hills at 3, and then Decatur Central Warsaw will be the 7 o'clock game. So, again, you can, we have more coverage at IndyStar.com. Obviously, that's where I'm looking at this information, and we'll have obviously a lot of stuff coming in the next week or so, leading up to these games. It was Friday, in the next several days. So. Should be a great weekend of games. Looking forward, especially to the 6A game. Again, Brownsburg wins it tonight over Center Grove. Really a great game. You felt like, you felt a large part of this game like Brownsburg was sort of in control and just couldn't quite grab complete control. And then, as it goes, Center Grove, of course, they get themselves in position. That's what Center Grove does. They're, traditionally they win games like this. And, Brownsburg led 24-20 at the half. They go ahead 31-20 on the first. Covan Sumter Bay runs 66 yards, I believe it was, on the first. No, 78 yards on the first play of the half, third quarter, and Brownsburg goes ahead 31-20. And at that point, you kind of wondered, could Center Grove stop Brownsburg? And they did at every juncture after that. So. They just couldn't score enough points after that point. They got it to 31-27 with, still plenty of time left, and Brownsburg is able to, to hold them out. Let's see. Let me try to get that. Yeah, so it's basically midway through the third quarter. Nolan Reese had a 3-yard touchdown run, pulled Center Grove within 31-27. So you played the last almost 20 minutes of this game without any points at all. But Center Grove did get down. Brownsburg, the last 4 drives, Center Grove, unable to score. And but that last drive, Center Grove started at their own 27 with 3:41 left, and get down the field. A couple of Gabe McWilliams passes, one to Drake McClurg, and at this point, you kind of felt like this might be Center Grove being able to win this game. They a 21-yard pass, actually back-to-back 21-yard passes to Brady Dickon caught the first one, and then Drake McClurg caught the second one. So the ball sitting at the 15-yard line of Brownsburg with plenty of time left. There was well over probably around 2 minutes at that point left in the game. Center Grove had all their timeouts. They ran the ball to the 11, ran the ball to the 9, and then on that the second run, the second down and 7, the hole was there, but it got gobbled up and kind of a nice tackle. I'll have to go back and look who made that tackle, but I thought in the moment it was kind of a game-saving touchdown tackle to keep Center Grove out of the end zone. That was the 2nd and 7 play, and then on 3rd down, Center Grove ran it to the 8-yard line. A couple timeouts were called at that point, and then Center Grove had actually a pretty good play set up. It looked like, there was a receiver coming free, kind of a throwback, where they kind of a delay, and then the back or the tight end or receiver pops out there. I'll have to look again and see who that was exactly, but it looked like he was going to be open. But Alex Burke came flying off the edge from the left side. McWilliams had to get rid of the ball sooner than he wanted to, or he was going to get sacked. I mean, he had no choice; just had to kind of throw it. And Jameer Pendleton picked it off. Whether he picks it off or knocks it down, it would have been game over anyway with 50 seconds left, and Center Grove only having one timeout. So that was basically the end of the game, and that was that. But great win. Obviously, Brownsburg moves on and does this for the first time in really the in this 6A era, that we're in, and they will play Westfield on Friday night at Lucas Oil at 7 o'clock. So again, we'll have lots more coverage of everything high school football related, and hope you check it out on IndyStar.com. But again, thanks for joining me here. Kyle Neddenritt from Center Grove. Again, Brownsburg wins 31-27 to head on to Lucas Oil.